Hi, ICS. It's Lindsay here today to give you guys a little bit of a session update. So the legislature has been meeting. They've been meeting in mainly a virtual format. So that means Zoom. Zoom is actually how they do their committee hearings right now. So we've had Zoom calls with legislators, phone calls with legislators, emails with legislators, and phone calls and emails with staff as well. So we have been operating, advocating for you in the virtual format. The legislature did come in person the last 2 weeks of April to vote on House bills and Senate bills, but that has been pretty restricted access to the public. And so we've just continued to do Zoom calls and phone calls, much like everyone else, to advocate for you. So where we are in session today is they have completed third reading deadline, which means that's the deadline that is set for bills to get out of their original chamber. So for a House bill to get out of the House and move over to the Senate, that's last Friday was the date it had to be done by. So they've gone through the committee process in the House. The House bill has now been voted on the House floor and is now moved into the Senate. And the same is true for Senate bills. They've moved through the Senate committee process, Senate floor votes, and now they're over in the House. So now the bills essentially restart that process and go through committee and then get voted on the floor again, and then they can get sent to the governor or back to the other chamber if changes needed to be made. So now that's kind of the process where we are right now. They are scheduled to be in every day in May, and then a couple of weekends in there as well. So we monitor session every day, and for amendments, legislation, etc. So we'll continue to do that in Zoom with legislators and phone calls and emails and all of that. So just to kind of give you guys a little bit of update on some issues that we have going on this session. So first and foremost, I'm going to give you just a brief update on our Medicaid legislation. So ICS introduced legislation this session to have Medicaid cover chiropractic services. Right now, Medicaid beneficiaries can't access chiropractic care because the program doesn't cover the service, which is a really unfortunate issue for Medicaid patients because they don't have access to that care, and that shouldn't be a barrier to them. So we are talking with legislators and staff on why that's an important issue. We're pushing for that legislation to be put into a broader package later this spring. So we'll keep you up to date on those, on how that bill progresses and how we move forward. And with that, this session. Another bill that we're supporting is about prior authorization. So prior authorization is when you have to call an insurance company and say, hey, how many visits can I get for this individual? And then they say you can have X amount of numbers. So what this bill seeks to do is sort of streamline that process a little bit and make it less cumbersome. So we are supporting that on behalf of our doctors, and we will continue to support that throughout the remainder of this session. Also, a bill that we're really watching and monitoring very closely and have supported a piece of legislation regarding it is telehealth. So as you know, when COVID came, the governor had signed an executive order that established essentially payment parity for telehealth visits, which means telehealth visits were paid the same as in-person visits. So what the legislation seeks to do is sort of codify that executive order and ensure that telehealth remains and continues to be paid in the state of Illinois. So we are supporting a piece of legislation on that. It's an issue that we're going to monitor very closely as we move through the last 5 weeks of session. And so we will continue to do that on your behalf. And so if you have any questions about what's going on, that's kind of the two main issues I wanted to cover today. We've got several other bills that we're following out there and some things that we're supporting and monitoring as well. If you have any questions, let me know. And we will continue to advocate for you every day. Thanks, guys. Bye.